नादिन आज लॉस एंजलिस में यूथ कॉन्फ्रेंस का इनकाद हुआ और यहाँ पे मुख्तलिफ़ यूनिवर्सिटी से तलबा को इनवाइट किया गया था और कुछ यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के प्रोफेसर भी आए थे जो कि एज ए मॉडरेटर थे इस प्रोग्राम के अंदर। और ये पहला इनिशिएटिव था, ये पहली बार पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन यूथ कॉन्फ्रेंस का इनकाद जो है समझ लें एक बारिश का एक क़तरा है। और उसको ऑर्गेनाइज़ करने का मकसद ये है कि पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन यूथ को किस तरीके से यूनाइट किया जाए, कैसे नेटवर्क की जाए और कैसे उनको एजुकेट किया जाए कि वो अमेरिका में किस तरीके से आगे बढ़ें और तरक्की हासिल करें और पार्ट ऑफ द अमेरिकन पॉलिटिक्स बने। क्योंकि यहाँ पे ये देखा जा रहा है कि जो पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन यूथ हैं उनकी सरपरस्ती थोड़ी सी कम है, लेकिन क्योंकि कौंसल जनरल का ये पहला इनिशिएटिव है और तमाम जो स्टूडेंट हैं उनको एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे जमा किया गया है और यूथ कॉन्फ्रेंस का इनेकाद किया गया है ताकि उनमें अवेयरनेस पैदा की जाए कि उनमें पोटेंशियल क्या है और वो किस तरीके से दूसरी सोसाइटी के साथ मिलकर रह सकते हैं, यानी कि हाउ टू गेट अलॉन्ग विद अदर कल्चर, मज़हब, तंजीमों के साथ मिलकर रह सकें।
This conference was created by a group of young professionals who really saw a need to create a space for Pakistani American youth and young professionals to sort of come together and have really meaningful discourse on some very real issues.
This has been my vision for since I've arrived in Los Angeles, in fact, to have a forum or to have an opportunity in bringing young Pakistani American students and professionals together. But we have our favorite person, and I must acknowledge him, Sheriff Libaka. You are the torch that leads the way for all of us and makes it easy for us to walk with our head held up high, because he is the loudest voice in support for the Muslim American community and the Pakistani American community. And without the leadership of the sheriff, I don't think that any of us would be able to do half of the things, in fact more than half of the things that we do.
The president won his election. Okay, it was an amazing tribute of the young vote as well as the women's vote. The pundits are saying that's how he won. That took him over the top. What was more significant was not the day that he won, but a speech he was giving to young people the day after. First time in the history of his presidency that I've ever seen him cry. And when he had the tears coming down his eyes, it was not something he could control. You know, when you cry as to what he was crying about, was that his whole idea of his life when he was younger, before he got into politics, is that he was able to try and organize young people in tough neighborhoods, neighborhoods that were in transition. He was trying to organize them to reach to their better self, to get their college education, to have a dream.
As a Pakistani American, how would you describe yourself?
I think Pakistanis really need to help out people in the disability community because a lot of parents don't accept that.
I think we always need to find this kind of middle ground where we're kind of taking the Western and the Eastern values and finding an identity for ourselves.
I guess we were always raised in a way to be open-minded about everything around you and just to learn, because it just broadens your experiences. And I think when you grow up in that sort of environment or mentality, you do realize that there are many more similarities and there are differences, and then you actually get to learn about the differences and find the beauties in them as well.
Personally, I feel there needs to be a significant effort to really bring our community together. I think there's a lot of talent, a lot of resources, but in our community, alhamdulillah, is very successful.
What do you think? What is the benefit? What is the outcome of this youth conference?
Yeah, I think it's to integrate Pakistanis together and to make sure that we're growing our community relationships with each other and getting to know each other better. And I think the youth needs to hear from the people that are our age, that have gone through and experienced being first-generation Pakistani Americans, and to understand our experiences and what has happened.
What potential do you see in the Pakistani American youth in American politics?
I think there's great potential, as with any minority group in America that kind of comes into their own and feels that they can make a contribution to society here.
The youth really need to be revitalized, and we need to, come together as a community and to learn how to integrate ourselves into American society.
Barack Obama said that he got a support from the youth, and he was crying on TV, and he was so happy, and he was so thankful to the youth and young generation that voted for him. What do you think about that?
I believe the youth is the power in any country. Even if you see in our Pakistani politics, the youth are the ones which are going to cause the change. And even here, the youth are the ones which are really powerful.
I think the fact that it's the first Muslim youth conference for Pakistani American youth is so important. We as Pakistani Americans need to have these kinds of opportunities, I think, for our youth.
There's very little integration of the community within the mainstream American community. And I felt that there was a gap, which I believed could be filled by our young people.
When I was growing up here, people didn't know what Pakistan was or where it was. So when you would say I'm Pakistani American, people didn't understand. It was always I'm Indian, and you'd get away with that. And now people have a much more better understanding of what Pakistan is.
Los Angeles and Orange County alone, I feel like there's a huge concentration of Pakistani Americans. I know the PSAs are very involved, and I know that they actually are, they do such great events throughout the year, and they're just so active and so willing, to do great work.
Pakistani youth that are in America right now can change, the negative perception that is here in America of Pakistanis. The best way to do that, I think, is to really put a smile on your face, go out there, be a part of your community.
I think that, I know some of the people who are working with this conference. I've known them for in a large or small capacity, and I think that that it's really important, especially right now, for women and for the youth to realize that they have a really strong and influential voice, and to really work on bringing that voice to the forefront.
It's time for the Pakistani youth and the Muslim youth to step out and make their voice heard. So this is the perfect place to engage and meet other people like them and make those connections and be inspired to be future leaders, because that's what we need right now.
We should be strong as a community, strong as individuals as well. And, we talk about other people being, way ahead of us, and we could be the same. All we need is to go out there and show our support and show that we are united and set aside our differences, and we could be, one of them.
I would like ultimately to fill this room with people that look like me, with the Pakistani people, because without them coming together, they're not going to learn to understand one another. We're helping the Pakistanis, come out and engage, and maybe, listening to the panels, they have the opportunity to maybe learn something different today, and maybe come out of their shell in other ways, and engage. But we need the American people to understand what they're going through, and to understand that there are similarities. There are likes and dislikes in culture and food and sports and education and everything.
तो ये आज की कॉन्फ्रेंस बड़ी कामयाब रही, बड़ी मुफीद रही, और मैं समझता हूँ कि इस किस्म के और से फोरम जो हैं वो ऑर्गेनाइज किए जाएंगे. कैमरामैन जेसन के साथ वकार खान, जे न्यूज़, लॉस एंजलिस.